expectation high. So I'm happy to present something on digitalization today on a very generic viewpoint. My name is Kohl-Landgraf. I work as a digital transformation manager in the capital markets division of DZ Bank. And we take the topic of digital assets very practical and product driven. But today I took it a bit more conceptual, and the title, Rethinking Digital Financial Market Interaction, a conceptual view of current opportunities and challenges, should point to the fact that I think we all agree in this room that new technologies like AI and blockchain are definitely reshaping not only financial market infrastructure, but also they have the potential to reshape of how we can interact. And this is what I would like to, where I would like to share some thoughts with you. Maybe to start, in a current look, a selected spotlight on recent news, mostly around the topic of digital assets. I think we can put it into these three categories. We see the industry's ongoing experimenting and exploration. This is a good one, because if you explore, you dig towards the hidden potentials, right? So this is what is ongoing on an international base. The second one is also progressing, the public sector, and this is not only a European view, this is an international view. You see, especially surely driven by the ECB in the Europe zone, and also Bank of England with their sandbox, pushing forward a digital asset landscape, the digital asset landscape. And the last thing, and this is where actually now digitalization reaches into basically the economy and reshapes maybe economy. So we also see that market infrastructure are reshaping, right? We see, for example, most prominently that now the euro system accepts tokenized securities as central bank collateral, and also the DLT pilot regime in the EU keeps a lot of action and traction across the industry. So this is what's happening, and if you now a transformation manager sitting in the capital markets division, what are you going to do now? What are you going to do with all these puzzling elements and hidden dynamics? And it's maybe sometimes good to do a step back and ask yourself where this entire thing of digitalization comes from. And I try to now put the 30 years, when this was the start of the internet, to glue it together into 4 categories. And the title is From Information to Agents, and this is where we are right now. So coming from information and now basically being opposed by agents. And let's put it and distinguish it into 4 regimes. So the first one is the rise of the internet, right? So the first time since this was founded and got public, information was, spread across the globe, and it's not residing on a physical location. It could be shared across the globe. So information was a core feature of which was offered in the value add of the Web 1. Yeah? The website, surely we all know that. We were basically deemed to be consumers. The control was basically led by an institution, and the autonomy for us as end users was very low. It was just sharing about information. The second one, maybe around also the start of the e-commerce, and most probably more about Google coming up, and also especially the need of a global search engine. We could basically title this in the Web 2. And this was about connecting people, right? So it was not only passive consumption of content, it was I can use a social media platform to share contents. So this was a second shift, and it actually put us into a more proactive way of interact with each other. But the control was still, governed by a platform, right? So client-server mechanism all around. And we all know that the things which we got offered by saying you can just use your Gmail account and Google whatever, they wanted to make use of our data. So this is why the autonomy was kind of medium, yeah? And we needed to be careful, and we learned to be careful with our data. And then, I think in 2008, more prominently with the Bitcoin network, but then more matured with a Ethereum launch of 2015, it was this disintermediation thing around, right? So digital payments could be processed around the cloud without any bank, without anything, without any central coordinator, which broke up the client-server mechanism of the internet, right? So imagine a blockchain. What is a blockchain? So each of you here in the room, you can now just take your device, download a blockchain software. It's just a software. You download it. We all connect with each other, and then we share a shared ledger. So the protocol basically itself coordinates the transaction we conduct, And this is the most disruptive element when it comes to financial market interaction. So no central coordinator needed, and surely the autonomy of what we can do with it is high. And now, I think this notion around the Web 4 is not precise, but it is around, people discussing, is this a Web 4? I mean, it's now coming from digitalization of value, of digital claims tokenization. Now we are entering the field of action, right? And the most driving technology still, blockchain, more mature, but also AI agents. So the future will be basically depending on how much autonomy we leave to these agents. And smart contracts, been around for a while, maybe still not really understood, are also there. So I would say if you want to distinguish between AI and blockchain with regard to financial industry, you can, I would say the following, If AI basically changes the way how we work, right? And from an internal perspective, this is completely clear how we can use it for data and all that stuff. But blockchain, coming with the disruptive elements, changes the way we offer products. And this is, from my perspective, the more disruptive technology, and we will dive deeper into that. Now, coming back to this digitalization thing from the core. So what is actually digitalization, right? So what does it mean to innovate a digital workflow? So consider your private life, right? So book a holiday, maybe remember that 30 years back you went to your office, your booking office, you transferred money and it was tedious and it took weeks, and now you take Airbnb and it's done right within minutes. You book your flight, your apartment and your car all in one, glued together, seamless workflow. You're autonomous acting on that, right? So if it comes to a new application, so it connects users somehow, right? And we like it because, and the application convinces us to download it. If we like it, we share it with others. So this is how the advertisement goes. If it now comes to the institutional perspective, we all have our legacy system infrastructures in place, right? Bank 1, Bank 2, and now everyone is running around and selling us new things, right? So I can share that, and I can offer that. So, and this comes basically to innovate a holistic digital workflow becomes a challenge because it becomes puzzling. So which new provider should I select? Should I select this agent providers? Should I select blockchain? It's puzzling, right? It's really puzzling. And maybe to give you a route of how we do it, we take it from 3 angles. So the question really is, what is the value add of a new application? Who benefits in the end? So honestly, if you got logged in because you're using your most prominent AI agent platform, you do, but you should be careful because who controls your business workflow in the end? Is it you still, or is it someone else? And the autonomy also, who acts, where you want to act, and again, to point to this distinction between AI and blockchain and smart contracts, AI probabilistic, right? Smart contracts, DLT, deterministic. So if you want to design a deterministic new digital workflow, you should rather stick to the second, but also knowing that there will be a symbiosis between these new technologies. So this is a design challenge you need to take, and it's not only letting your programmers code something, it's really the question, where does it run in the end, and how much value it brings. And now, coming to this blockchain thing, to DLT in financial markets, again, actually more mature than AI agents, I would say. Let's try to categorize what are the core building blocks of DLT. And I think we can split into 4. We have the tokenized assets, right? This is the tokenization of claims, digitalization of claims. We see that in a practical example in a minute. Then we have digital cash, now mostly prominently driven by the euro system, ECB Pontes and ECB Appia, actually heading, in a certain sense, from a public sector perspective in the world. Interoperability, so now there won't be one unified Ethereum network out for the traditional finance sector. We are having a system economy right now. So it's really clear, and this was also in the first early years of the internet also the same case. We need to make sure that all these systems can connect to each other. And the last thing is programmability. So this is where the real potential lies in terms of using the features DLT brings and putting this into new forms of digital products. All right. So now take this a little bit more practical now, and we connect the blocks, the first 3 blocks, no, all 4 blocks actually in one example. And we take the settlement of tokenized securities, which was conducted most prominently in 2024 in the ECB trials. And I think we will see a lot of scaling in the 3rd quarter of this year by the launch of ECB Pontus. So what does it mean to tokenize a security and settle it? Tokenization in its core, it's a very simple thing. Tokenization is just putting on our imaginary blockchain here, yeah, shared computer network, we're putting an Excel sheet on that. Right? We're having basically a 2-column spreadsheet. We have the participants or the claim holders, and we have the token amounts, and this is it. This is tokenization. Yeah, no central coordinator, no central storage, just a spreadsheet on a shared ledger, shared database, and it enables us decentralized accounting, and it enables the participant to directly transfer the amounts. And the nice thing is the smart contract, which is basically governing this entire economics of this tokenized claims, has algorithmic control in terms of it allows only entitled holders to transfer sufficient amounts. So, but now the disruptive element comes now. So Liz can not only transfer 50 to Alice, Liz can transfer something to a smart contract. If you imagine the Matrix film, right? So the smart contract is an address which resides on the DLT and completely handles these 50 tokens which got transferred by Alice under algorithmic control. So, and this is what we see a huge potential in. This is a digital escrow mechanism. A computer software holds tokens and can transfer tokens fully algorithmically. And how does it look like? So we have a sender, right, sending some amount of tokens to a smart contract, to a computer program, which waits for a predefined event, completely deterministic, completely programmed, all fine, all tested. And then the receiver transfers a certain amount to a receiver up on condition and up onto the programmed algorithmics. So, okay. This is basically the core feature what DLT brings, and this can be abstracted. This is only for payments and transfers of tokens. This can be abstracted to every workflow. So disintermediation is a core feature. So believe it or not, I think I said it in the beginning of that slide, this is what happened in the 2024 trials offered by Banque de France, Bundesbank Trigger Solution, and Banca d'Italia. They put in place an interoperability mechanism to connect an eligible market platform on the top, where the asset tokens reside, with the target system governed by a blockchain. So Bundesbank was hosting a blockchain. We could connect to that blockchain. And so asset tokens on the market side, central bank money on the central bank side, and in between, a smart contract. So this digital escrow mechanism controlled 1.6 billion settlements conducted in 2024. Yeah. And this is, I think, it's astonishing. And as I said, 2026, we will see exactly the same mechanism, kind of an assemblance of all these 3 solutions which have been explored in 2024, offered by ECB Pontus in the 3rd quarter of 2026. We are part of the market contact group. I can say it's a very ambitious, not only for us as market participants and market infrastructure providers, for CEB also, because this will become productive. All right, so this is basically how we can glue all these building blocks of DLT together into one. And now let's make it even more practical. What are we working on, and to show what's possible of making use of these smart contracts. And it's not only possible to disintermediate and functionalize the settlement, it's also possible to think the entire value chain. So the technology does not divide between back office, front office, middle office, so potentialize to glue all these things together into one seamless workflow. And what I've showed in the previous slide, this is what a tokenized bond is in the core. I can settle it. This has been proved, all fine. But now the point comes, can I go beyond? Can I take the entire value chain and start from the digital workflow for initiation? How is the issuance in a primary market basically conducted? Yeah? I start with the digitalization of the terms. I start with the digitalization of the documentation. I implement a digital workflow of how the issuer and the investors connect to each other. Then it comes to the settlement. In the end, I look at the post-trade life cycle of the issuance, secondary market trading, coupon payments, redemption. All right, and this is what our working title is. We're working on with other market partners. This is what we name the smart bond contract. And it comes with in a modular setup in alignment with the Monetary Authority of Singapore, of the guidelines. It makes use of the digital documentation of the ICMA. It has an automated ISIN publication. Provides a high level of automation because it's a complete seamless workflow, basically 10 function calls, and the bond is issued. It's payment solution agnostic. It is not tied to some specific infrastructure and not tied to whether it's central bank money or something else. And it offers us a functional trading pattern and algorithmic life cycle checks. So imagine that again, it's a smart contract, a computer program running on our shared network, which can be used by anybody who wants to issue a bond. Sounds a bit like, okay, some nerd sit in a room and did some coding and done. But it was a bit different because coming to the practical implementation of that, coming back to our first picture, right? So the efficiency advantage, and this is also the value add, it's T+0 issuance because I have a complete deterministic workflow in place. It's disintermediation. I do not need to ask anyone to tokenize my claims, to settle it, to come into contact with my investors. I have a standardized workflow in place, and this is what the industry is heading for, standardization of such kind of functional workflows. So I have this SBC workflow connecting issuers and investors. And going back to the questions I raised in the beginning, the value add is workflow automation. And we really see this as a base module, It's kind of primary market issuance should consist of base modules. Okay, now the presentation is gone, but it's back, okay. It's a distributed application. Distributed application means it's not hosted by anyone. It's agnostic on the infrastructure where it resides. Most perfectly would be Ethereum or Polygon, a really public blockchain, but it could be also hosted on some private permissioned infrastructure. It's designed to be infrastructure agnostic. And it offers us a high level of autonomy in being of modular, transparent, and can be used by anyone. So again, what I introduced in the slide before, nerdy stuff. You would believe this can be coded. All right. But we did this issuance in March together with DZ Bank and KfW. We piloted this workflow. And believe me or not, this is surely a task to get this thing coded and put on the public blockchain and host your wallets and all that stuff. But the most important challenge was to get all these companies which were involved in this transaction, all the people from legal, operations, to be convinced to understand the workflow in behind. It's not a technical challenge, it's much more an organizational one. And if you can do this, then you can dig towards the new potential, and this is what we actually did. So this is what was implemented, and it was running on a public blockchain. And I have to tell you, when I saw that, we installed it on a public blockchain, it was nice, because I didn't need to ask anyone to install that software. I just funded my wallet, paid my smart contract. I think the issuance took about 63 cents in a total, because I think it was about 10 function calls being conducted. But you see this here very nicely, right? You have the investor, the issuer, and the DLT in between, disintermediation, and a clear workflow being implemented and being hosted such that KfW as the investor and DZ Bank as the issuer could interact. We made use of the ICMA bond data taxonomy. So the smart contract served as a single source of truth for not only the term sheet, but also for the digital documentation. No PDF, no email, just the blockchain as communication channel. And in the end, I said that in the beginning of that slide, that the challenge was not technical, it was organizational, because we connected 6 market participants, issuer, investor. We connected surely Bundesbank to settle that thing in central bank money. We connected the ISIN provider and the registrar. And all these companies were basically connected over that protocol in the middle. And it took us, 40 minutes to settle that primary market issuance completely digitally and functionally. So saying that, to give you basically a light on how we take that very practical, and I would like to end with a very pragmatic approach. And I would say recommendations from my side. Rethinking is essential, and rethinking is difficult, yeah? So you just, if you digitalize what is there, you won't dig towards the potential. You really need to start from scratch and ask, okay, how is the primary market issuance conducted? How is the derivative settled? And then you can explore the real potential, and I would definitely say, even if there will be a symbiosis between agentic AI and DLT, DLT offers us huge potential, which we can use right now. Explore, yeah, somebody also said, yeah, someone's also saying, okay, all this exploration, yes, but this is how it goes, right? Explore together with other market partners to pilot things, and also have in mind to look at what it means to your legacy systems and legacy processes. And this is why we also, we do not pilot technically, we also do it legally binding with other market partners to legally binding challenges the organization and new product approval being conducted. But this is how we can really see also what it means to our legacy systems. And the last thing is collaboration. I mean, this is at an early stage. I think it's too early to earn something with providing an app on a blockchain. It's really about building the base modules to basically foster this ecosystem around digital assets. So I think it's the right point in time, especially driven by the Eurozone, to collaborate. We do this from the ZBank side in a very transparent way. You will find a lot of our basically concepts on the web. And happy to get in contact and discussion around our concepts with you. And I would end with an analog thing. So I have a few documents or printouts of this pilot report here with me. So if you are interested, get in contact, but otherwise you will also find it on the web. Thank you very much for your attention.